a little bit about us. I think that you probably heard about us from IAPE. Obviously, the biggest thing that we provide is physical and digital evidence management solutions, but we can also provide anything else your agency needs, whether it's quartermaster, found drop. I have a background, like I said, in crime scene, so I've actually built a few forensic applications, so blood spatter analysis. If you need to track in-house forensic requests, things like that, we can do it all. As you'll see in a little bit, our solution is 100% tailorable to you. So if you wanted to track, how many times you went to the grocery store a year and what you bought, you could do that with our system. You can track whatever you want to do. Nobody's screen is going to look like yours. Mhm. We serve over 400 organizations in the US and Canada, with some big hitters like Fort Lauderdale, Los Angeles, San Antonio, Miami. Atlanta is a returning customer. Homeland Security, I believe, is our biggest customer, and we are definitely growing. And I'll look on the map too and see who who the closest customer is to you guys. So if you wanted to take a field trip and look at the application live, you could do so. So one of the big pulls of leaving my government cushy job was to work with the team that we have here. Most of the team has law enforcement experience. So whether you're speaking to somebody in consultant like me, or the training division, or even the installation or integration team, most of them do have law enforcement experience. So it is really great to work with these people, and we understand that budgets don't happen overnight. And yeah, we've been in your shoes, or if not, in the realm of them. A little bit about me. I came from Smyrna Police Department here in Georgia. So we're about 15 minutes south of Atlanta, Georgia. So we got all their trickle-down crime. There, I managed the evidence unit, did all of our in-house forensic processing, APHIS, blood spatter, serial number restoration, things like that, and then was a crime scene investigator. We got EvidenceOnQ in 2017, and then implemented DigitalOnQ about a year later. And I'm sure you guys saw the horror stories in IAPE, and we were definitely those people. We had offsite storage locations. We had, found loaded guns, found sexual assault kits that hadn't been tested in 30 plus years. Just everything you can imagine that shouldn't happen was what I walked into. But we fixed it all with EvidenceOnQ. Right. So today we're going to talk a little bit about EvidenceOnQ, which is our physical evidence management software solution. And I'm going to be jumping between two screens on this PowerPoint slide. One is the web view, which you see here. So this is the view that your patrol officers will see when they access this solution from their patrol vehicles. And then there's a desktop application that has all your administrative tools where you can set up permissions and security and things like that. So from this screen, unlike your RMS, you're going to be dealing with just this one screen. This is where you're going to enter items, search items, scan barcodes, generate all your reports, and check out items. And like I mentioned, it's 100% tailorable for each agency. So you decide what you want your profile to look like. You can Bob Ross this however you want. You can have things in columns. You can have room for a lot more lab information. You decide what are text fields, what are date fields, all of that. We recommend you use as many simple lookup fields, those drop-down fields, as possible, because that helps with your your custom queries. Also, it helps with avoiding like spelling mistakes. So, there's probably 10 ways somebody could spell or could say the word blue. Some people may say blue, some people may say navy blue, some may just type BLU, but if you have something in that drop-down field, everybody's going to select the same one and mean the same thing. So not only do we tailor the profile to exactly how you want it, we also give you a tool where you can go in later and delete fields, move fields, rename them. So you have that power to do that without any additional cost or any permissions needed from us. So we did this a lot. Our evidence unit was crime scene and evidence. So down the road, we added like a lot of APHIS related fields and stuff like that. So it's very nice to have that convenience of being able to do it yourself without having to call, your vendor to ask for permission. You can also make unlimited user groups and set their permissions to like very granular permissions. So if you have maybe your records division, you want them to have access, but a view only access, and maybe not view to all of the fields or all of the reports or even all of the note sections, you can do that. So it's however you want to set that up. We'll help you set it up to begin with. And then with the desktop application, you can go and make those changes yourself. Do you guys work off of a Active Directory, a single sign-on?
No.
No? Okay. I was going to say sometimes if you have that, your IT, you'll need permissions from them to make any changes, but otherwise you should be able to do it yourself. Once again, you can access this from anywhere that you have your VPN access. So whether that's on a crime scene, whether that's from your patrol vehicle, the lab, um, if you have a separate building for records, things like that. And then there's two views depending where you are in your shift, the time of day. There's a night view and a day view. For the WebView application, you can get some custom widgets. We provide 3 default widgets, which includes the number of items in intake, the items by type and percentages. So how many bicycles do you have versus how many sexual assault kits you have, etc. And then there's a link to the last 10 cases created by that user, which is really helpful if you're, on patrol all day and you've collected evidence for 3 cases and then you come back and you're like, all right, I need to jog my memory on what goes with what. That's very helpful. And then, of course, you can do your custom widgets. So if your chief wants to know at all given times how much money you have in your safe or how many um, sexual assault kits have not been tested, things like that, that can be a widget that he can view, and only him or whatever other groups you want to view it as well. We also give you the ease to put your own descriptions in those drop down fields. So we're not going to limit you by having, whatever, a handful of generic options. People use different things like the universities that we have as customers, they may have, student IDs or backpacks or other things that are more related to what they're collecting. And then you guys may have, you may want to put in things like tasers or something like that, that maybe another agency would not need. And you can, of course, change these at any given time. We also try to make this as friendly as possible for officers. So by doing that, you can set mandatory fields on your screen. So maybe you want officers to put in a value for a serial number for a firearm, even if it's, of the value of obliterated or partial or something. There's got to be something in that field before they can save that record. So you can make mandatory fields like that. We talked about the consistent drop-down data that you can set up. And then of course you can hover over all of the fields on your profile screen and you can prompt some instructions. So for our collected location, a lot of our officers would copy and paste the incident location address, but really we wanted them to be specific. Where did you find that cell phone? Was it under the kitchen sink? Was it under the mattress? Was it in the suspect's right front pocket? Give me some details. So that's very helpful for officers. As far as your control field goes, that's your item type. So depending what is selected as your item type will prompt the officer um, to put in the applicable data. So in the web view, it'll be highlighted, like in that middle firearm section, or in the desktop view, it'll be either grayed or ungrayed depending on the item type. So that way it's not so overwhelming and you have all fields, ungrayed or required when you're putting in currency or things like that. Adding a secondary piece of property or evidence is super easy. Once the initial information of the case and the persons involved is entered, you can have all that information carry over. So then when you're adding a new item to the incident, you're just entering that property information below. So you're not having to duplicate all of the information you've already put in there. We also do integrate with your RMS if you'd like us to. So that information that is entered into your RMS system can be pushed over to EvidenceOnQ or vice versa. It can be pushed from EvidenceOnQ into your RMS. The system will also keep will auto calculate the item count. So for me, I'm on scene and there's multiple people entering evidence for the same case. The system's going to keep track of which item was entered first, or sorry, saved first, and then keep that count on the property report. So you're not going to have, 4 number 2s. It's going to keep track of it all. Are your officers currently writing on a property sheet, or are they entering the evidence directly into the RMS module?
Directly into property sheet.
To a property sheet?
It's on the report writing program. Yeah, we have an ADSI report writing program. So nothing's on paper.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So they're not having to transfer it from a piece of paper then into digital format. They're doing it right away. Okay. So of course the system helps you go paperless. Once you've entered the information on your profile, you can produce reports, you can print barcode labels, we can do a custom lab form if you have that. And then of course generates and retains that chain of custody. And there's also a lot of other letters that we can produce that I can show you examples of. Do you guys get a lot of found property?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, there's it'll generate an owner notification letter which has the barcodes and then has, your verbiage at the bottom, like not collected in 30 days, then will be destroyed per blah 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 law. So those are very useful.
You see an alert saying that it's past the 30 days or whatever time you set for it?
So once the letter is generated, it can put a date on that letter for you. And so from that time, and you can set up a trigger on your profile 30 days from the time you sent that letter, and you get an email saying, all right, nobody's replied, you may dispose of it. And then you can add it to your court order.
Kind of like a reminder.
Sorry, I couldn't understand all of that.
He was asking if it, basically you get a reminder back by email that you sent this however many days ago and you haven't got a response or whatever.
Yep, you can either do it by a trigger like an email, or you can set up you can build some custom queries, which I can show you on the profile, which are really easy. So you can just add that custom query button to your toolbar and click it whenever needed. Very useful things like that. So yeah, we'll jump into that in I think in the next few slides. Custom barcode labels, you guys can decide what information you want on each barcode. So you can have a generic one, which officers are printing from, or you could have one that is more, is based on what they're submitting. So for a firearm, I want to see the make, model, serial number, caliber on the outside of the barcode label, but maybe on a cell phone, I just want to know the date and who it was collected by, things like that. So you can customize those in as many as you want, and choose your font, choose the size, all of that. They're 2x4, and we partner with Zebra, so they are waterproof, tear-proof, and fade-resistant proof. I say that. Go ahead.
So the officers could essentially, once they put that into evidence in their car or whatever, they could print that out and stick it on the envelope that they turn into evidence. And all we would have to do is scan the barcode and it would put it into the system as checked in or whatever.
Yep. That's all you have to do. You just scan and then transfer it to its temporary location. The barcode label printers, typically people don't have them in every patrol car. It's just at headquarters. So they come and print their labels back at headquarters in one designated, packaging area for officers. But I think the barcode will print if they have like some sort of receipt program in their car, but it just won't be like a label.
Right, yeah. And that's what we're using right now are the Zebra printers.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So yeah, if you're using those, then that'll be already compatible with what we have. Yep. Same with location barcodes. These can be designed however you want them to be designed, and then the installer will help you create all of your locations um, before the go live date, so you're not spending 5 weeks entering your 500 locations of where you're putting property in evidence. Custom reports. So we talked a little bit about this. We can create any type of custom report that you want. Um, we've gotten very creative with these. So whatever are you guys using maybe like a specific vendor for destroying guns, or do you guys use propertyroom.com?
Well, we've been using gun busters in the past.
Okay. And they don't really require a template. But we do have like a property room template, or if there's any other kind of eGov or other places that you send property to after a court order, we can make those as well. It's Crystal Reports. If you have somebody in your agency that is very savvy with Crystal Reports, you can make your own. We just won't support them if we don't create them, if that makes sense.
Would be y'all charged to make them if we decide not to make them? You know what I'm saying? If we say, look, we want you to make this part right here.
Yeah, so there is a charge to it. So how our pricing structure works is you can either purchase the system outright and then have a yearly maintenance and maintenance support fee, which is the more expensive route. A lot of our new customers go with our subscription model, which includes like a lot of modules like WebView, the program where officers can enter and everything from their vehicle. It includes eDocs, which is this, a module where you can drag and drop, court orders, lab reports, proof of ownership, things like that into the system for free. And that's like $19,000 if you bought it outright. It includes lifetime hardware replacement. So if you get a scanner or Topaz signature pad or Bluetooth scanners from us and they become obsolete, we go ahead and give them to you for free with no additional charge. And it includes unlimited concurrent licenses, unlimited records. So God forbid you go up to 100,000 records, we're not going to cap you off. And then lastly, and most importantly, it includes all of your inversion and major upgrades. So you're not having to budget, every other year for a budget upgrade. We're just going to give it to you. So, but I can include all of that in writing too, just so you know, and I can do comparison pricing if you want. Okay, verification, validation, audit trail. So every change in the system is captured in your audit trail. So let's say you have an officer submitting a bicycle late at night and they write that it's a purple bicycle, but the next morning you wake up and realize it's actually blue. And you were like, well, I'm not going to bother them. They're sleeping. So I'm going to change that color on the profile for them. The system is going to track that, who changed it, from what IP address, and what the old value was versus the new value that was put in there. So it's going to keep track of all of that for you. Signature capture, just like what you see at the grocery store when you check out, is what we use, the Topaz signature pads to capture your signatures when you transfer either to an investigator or return to owner, things like that. eDocs, this is the module that I was talking about where you can upload files to. And again, based on your permissions, you can be allowed to upload some files versus some others, or view some versus not. So it's very, very helpful for that. I don't recommend that you use this for evidence-related documentation. So like if you have crime scene photos or things like that, that would most likely go in your digital evidence management, not in this. Okay. The custom, unlimited field queries. So we used to get calls all the time from people calling up and saying, hey, I was arrested 2 weeks ago. I have no idea what date it was. I have no idea the officer's name or my case number, but here's what I want back. And based on that information, we would have to go and find it. So all of these fields on your profile are queryable. That's a hard word to say. Contains with, ends with. Maybe you just know the last 3 or the first 3 letters of the person's last name, you can put in that and search by that. And then all the criteria that you do put in the field will then populate in a list, and you can sort by any of those column headers. So you can sort by the item type. Well, I know it's a firearm, so let me sort through all of those and locate the evidence that is being asked about. So in limited and custom queries, we were an accredited department, so we had to do a lot of weekly, monthly, yearly statistics. So we did a lot of custom queries that we saved to our profile. So if you have, not even for accreditation, but like what you were talking about, like, all right, let me see all of the evidence that has been retained for or found property that's been here longer than 90 days. You can set up a query and build that and then save it to your profile or even to your toolbar and run that whenever you want. So kind of like works like a widget, excuse me, but it's free.
Hello?
Sorry, I was having like a coughing fit. All right. Here's some more examples of the custom queries. See. Yep. And you said that you were not accredited, is that correct?
I don't believe we are.
Okay. It'd be from like a Chiefs accreditation or CLIA or something like that.
I'm surprised if we are.
If you look on the tabs under the details line up there, there's also a tab for comments. So there's 2 parts of this. There's what I call the dry erase board, which can be, you can delete from, and then there's the side on the right where anything you put in is time-stamped and saved in the system that cannot be deleted. So if you want to put something like on the dry erase side, like, hey, this guy's called me 10 times. I've told him he can't get his stuff because there's appeals. So you want to delete that later. That's the information you put over there. Otherwise, it'll be time-stamped. And depending on your permissions and groups, you will be able to either enter in some type of subject lines and maybe not others. So there's a lot of agencies that don't trust their officers and they don't want anything retained in the system that can't be deleted by them. So they actually don't have permissions turned on for them. So your call. Batch updating. So I use this all the time. So, after a crime has happened and then you do your search search warrants and things like that, you find out obviously more information. But I don't want to write the suspect information that was discovered 50 times on the evidence that's already submitted. I want to put it in once and once only. So batch update allows you to do that, put in all the information that you've now discovered and save it to your profile of all of those records and not have to do it one at a time. We also have a trigger for automated disposition. So your installer will work with you to set up your how long you want to set retention for based on law and based on your policy. And then once that retention has been met, there's a trigger that can either email you guys or email the investigating detective or reporting officer, however you want it set up, and it'll send them an email with a link where they can then put in notes whether to hold it or can be released or can be destroyed, whatever the decision is. Inventory report. So this is actually retained in the system and no additional charge. So once you guys get your room barcoded, you can go into any of your locations and then run an inventory and make sure that everything that should be there is there. And then it'll spit out a report saying what is missing, so what was not scanned, all the items that were accounted for, and then what was scanned that should not be there. And then it'll allow you to actually put notes into the report. So, the things that were missing, maybe the barcode was in a weird place, but the item was actually found. So you can put that note in there. And then these inventory reports are retained in the system forever. So you can go back and search them. Random audit. So this would be more if, I mean, you're more than welcome to get it, but it's more for people with accreditation. So it just, you choose what you want to be randomly pulled, and it'll spit out a report, and then have the evidence tech go verify that the item that should be where it is in fact there. Our lieutenant did that like 5 times a month for us. It was so fun. All right, so we do offer a PDA device as well. So that's what I was asking about, if you had offsite storage locations. So if this is very helpful for that, to do inventories. You can use it to check out items to the public, maybe not in your typical area, if it needs to be outside or a different location, or even transfer items over to the crime lab. You can obtain signatures, you can take pictures with it, and then you have to dock it for that information to be uploaded to your system. But it's very handy if you've offsite storage location, or if you want to take it for the crime lab. And then there's functions you could do. You can also pause inventory. So, if you're in the middle of an inventory, but then the fire alarm goes off or whatever, you can pause it and come back to it. All right, so we'll jump into the live application. Before I do that though, is there any questions?
Is this program server-based or cloud-based?
So it's server-based. It's an on-prem solution.
Okay.
We are coming out with a cloud version. So like I said, if you guys go with the subscription plan and, a year from now, you're like, well, we really want to be cloud-based, you can move to that with no additional cost. And I'll be sure to send you the system requirements as well. All right, so I'm going to open web view. So if you do have Active Directory, when you log on to your Windows screen, you won't have to do then a secondary login for EvidenceOnQ. Otherwise, you will. So then choose this profile. I'm going to log into as Officer Giles. All right. So this is going to show. All right, so this morning I entered in this information regarding a larceny articles from vehicle. Looks like a Jeep Renegade was collected and moved to the vehicle processing bay of the agency. So now, and there's been a request made. So let's look at this request. So Officer Giles also requested that the vehicle is should be processed for suspect's prints and then released to the owner. All right. So let's go ahead and actually let's go into the admin application. Sorry, I'm jumping between 2 screens, so it opens on one. All right, so the admin application, it looks exactly like the web view. It just has more tools to work from. So right now I'm in query mode. If you look at the bottom right-hand side, meaning I can query from any part of the screen. So let's look at, I'm the evidence tech. Let's see at everything that's an intake first. So let's query by the current location. I want to see everything, my intake that should be in my lockers. And now if you look at the bottom right, it says 1 of 35 items. So I have 35 items that have not been received by evidence. I can browse all of these and then sort them. So I know that that vehicle needs to be processed for latent prints. So item type. Oh, I have vehicle and motor vehicle. So I'm going to select this item because that's what oh wait, that's a Nissan, not a Jeep. Well, it didn't show up. Oh, it's because it's not intake. Just kidding. Okay, scratch all of that. So I know that it's a larceny articles from vehicle, and I know that the description is a Jeep. So let's put the information of a Jeep in here because I know that's in the description somewhere. All right, and I only have one Jeep in my inventory, and that is the correct one. And we have a request up here showing that it does need to be processed for prints. So, and again, everything that I'm showing you is permissions based. So you can decide who can use the request monitor if you even want to use it. You decide that this officer can actually view all of the fields on the profile. I'm not hiding anything from him. All of that is decided. All right. So we have one request for this Jeep to be processed. All right, let's say that the vehicle is processed and we found some latent prints from it. So let's add, now I'm the evidence crime scene tech. Let's go ahead and add a new item. We're going to add new, all of that incident information and persons involved information transferred over. And all I need to do is do the, fill out the property and evidence information. So with these drop downs, you can either start typing or you can scroll through them. We're going to do latent prints. So we're going to say partial palm prints on recovery location. If I hover over this one, there's some instructions. Be specific. Example, right pocket of suspect. A door handle of front passenger door. Tab through. There's one item, and we're going to save. It automatically chose my item number, so I didn't even have to think about that or put anything in there. All right. And now that the current location up at the top, it shows my initial location is intake. It shows the timestamp of when that item was entered, and it shows the username of who entered it. So let's go ahead and move this. You can do this by Bluetooth scanner, or you can do it manually on your screen. So you can transfer here. So let's just say it's been received by evidence. And now in the chain of custody, it will show that latent print, what time it was created, the timestamp, the user, and then the where it moved and at what time. And any of our reports can be customized. So of course, we'll have your header on there. And then if there's any information additionally that you want on this report, we can put it on there as well. All right, so let's move this. Let's print a barcode and then let's move it to an investigator. So let's do item. So again, you can have multiple designs for officers to choose from. Sometimes that's a little confusing for them. So you can have a generic one, your preference. It'll look like this. What my generic one looks like. Says what it is, and then the collected by and date. Right. Oh, oops. I say that my sure isn't working. Okay, well, just kidding. Let's manually move it. All right, so let's move it to, actually, I want to get a signature. So let's copy this barcode since my barcode printer is not working. And we're going to transfer it with signature. So we want to transfer it to an investigator. Here's my barcode number. Lab request. Rafus. And then we're going to give it to Detective Smith. Then Detective Smith will be prompted to sign for it. Okay. I can generate a checkout receipt that can be given to him for his case file. And then now this signature will show up on the chain of custody. If I queried that, it says the current location is now investigator instead of intake or received. And on the chain of custody, we now have the signature of Detective Smith. Do you guys have something similar now that captures a signature?
No.
No. Okay.
It's like I'll check it out to Harrison. I'll just put Harrison and then he'll sign when it prints out the chain of custody. He'll just sign above his name.
Okay. Gotcha. So yeah, and like if you have, maybe you're out in the field and you're returning a piece of property to the owner before it actually ever physically comes back to headquarters and is stored in evidence, you can have that wet signature and then scan that that chain of custody and then upload it to the e-documents. So this tab over here is for your documents. So let me see if I have any type of, let's put the system requirements. You just drag and drop a file. How do we want to say it? This is going to be a generic thing. And now that item is retained in the system. And it's now going to show as red on top to show that there's something in there. Same with, I don't think you guys were interested in EvidenceOnQ right now, but let's say you had uploaded some files related to the case in EvidenceOnQ, whether it's audio surveillance, crime scene photos, things like that. On that tab, it would show you every thumbnail of what is in EvidenceOnQ related to the case. The retention tab, this is where you set up, all right, what type of case is this? I'm going to hold this for 7 years. Of course, you can change that if needed. The history is anything that's changed. So let's say person 2. Let's say we find out who the suspect is. They figured out it's Ryan Thorne. So now in the history, it's going to show the timestamp, my login, and the IP address that I made a change. And it's going to show the old value and the new value of what was changed on the profile. And that'll now be in my audit trail. Okay. Actually go back out. Case. All right. So now I have both items up related to the case. We have the car and the latent prints. So we just found out that the suspect's name is Ryan Thorne, but let's batch update that because we don't want to put it in more than once. So we're going to go to batch update. Person 2, suspect, last name. Oh. We did the last name twice. All right, it's going to ask, are you sure that you want to make changes to these 2 records? We're going to say yes. It's going to ask, are you sure? Are you sure? Yes. To 2 items. And now that the batch update has been changed for that name on both records, which it was on initially for the other one. Okay. So let's do, all right, so we've checked out an item. Is there any pain points of the system you're currently using that you want your new system to do?
Yeah, honestly, a lot. It's a whole bunch of stuff.
I mean, one thing that our system cannot do is, like, if I have an item, let's say it's barcode, which I know yours will do it, scan that item. So if I scan the item on barcode, it doesn't pull up anything. I can only use a barcode to actually transfer back and forth, like from a box to another box. But I can't even, like our bin locations, we can print a barcode that has no functionality for that location. So I can't scan the item. I can't even scan the bin, and it tells me everything that's in that bin.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay.
So the
yes.
only thing I can do is scan and say, scan it, and I have to manually go in there and put, I'm gonna move all these items to bin number 5 or whatever, and then I scan all those items.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So you kind of have to go in manually and say, like, where we here, we were here for checking the intake. You've got to come and say, I want to know everything that's in bin 4 and do it manually. Okay. think my scanner is.
But from what I understand on yours, if you scan a barcode, it'll pull up everything from your case, or pull all the data up from that evidence, correct?
If you scan a barcode, it's just pulling up the information on that individual unique barcode. It's not pulling up everything on the case. You'd have to enter the case number to pull up all of the barcodes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but at least pull up, say what it is.
Yes, of course.
But you'll still have to, if the officer tags a bag of marijuana, and he prints out a label and he puts it on the envelope, we get it in the morning, we go in there, we hit it with the barcode, we still have to go in manually and put it in box N25, if that's where we want to store it, correct?
No, for this system you would not. So you would just scan that piece of property and then move it to wherever you want to move it to, that box location. You wouldn't have to go and do anything manually. You can, but you don't have to.
You scan that item and then scan where you want it to go, correct?
Yes.
So the bin itself has a barcode.
Yep. You have all of your locations barcoded. So.
Yeah, when I was watching the webinar, the little video you sent me last week, that was one of the parts I saw. It was, he can scan the items and then scan the box and then move it to that box. Or if you want to move it, you can scan it and then scan another box and actually move everything to that. So am I wrong on that?
Yeah, I follow. Okay. Yep. It'll do all of those movements. And the Bluetooth scanner, we say it has, I think they say it says it has 150 square foot range, but mine always went much farther. So is your evidence unit kind of just one big room, or is it multiple rooms?
It's actually multiple rooms.
Okay.
All of the same building, but it's several rooms.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, I mean, you should be fine with it. We also had our agency we couldn't afford that mobile PDA device, so we had a rolling cart with a laptop on it and a scanner, which works just as good and it's a little bit cheaper. So yeah, there's a lot of options to make sure that you can cover all of your room and not have to do anything manually. Okay, so let's see if we can pull up. I think I remember the case number. So for the found property that we were talking about earlier, let's see if I can find an example of the owner notification letter. So what you would send is something similar to this with your letterhead. You would show the items that are that can be released, and then you could have your verbiage at the bottom saying, please pick up within 30 days. This is how you can get a hold of us. Otherwise, it'll be destroyed in accordance to law. So those are all custom. Is there trying to think of anything else I can show you? Is there any struggles besides the scanning feature that you guys are experiencing? Like, do you need to be able to run, more custom queries? Is the information that the officers do put into the RMS system, is that verified by you guys? What happens when that item is then put into a locker? Do you verify any information before putting it into a temporary location?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, as best we can. But, some of our issues, I guess, is kind of like you say your search for query is where one officer might tag it as like a gun. They might tag it as a firearm, and then but in our box, our drop downs, but then the next officer might come in and tag it as a handgun or whatever.
Too many different options in the drop down.
Yeah, there's too many different options. So if you do a search, you don't know if they tagged it under a firearm or handgun. When it comes to us, I mean, it's all correct.
Yeah.
We don't look at really stuff like that. We're just looking at the description that they put you know, the bottom, or where they wrote, you know, whether it's Pacific West and 38 counties, as long as that matches or whatever.
Okay.
Uh,
For crime scene, is crime scene actually holding on to any temporary evidence, or does it go directly to evidence and then checked out again for any type of forensic analysis?
No, we keep it temporarily in the front office.
Okay.
We take it off one there to go to different labs, or it needs to be shipped somewhere, sent somewhere, checked out from crime scene.
Okay. So does the evidence unit know what you have?
Kind of.
Kind of. Okay.
No, it's kind of like we use a different bin system than what the evidence room. We have like our own bin number system. So if we see it's in like a G box, we call it a G box, so we know it's a crime scene. Unless it's
Okay.
a homicide or a rape or something attack different.
Gotcha. So you can't necessarily see it. So, I know there's a few agencies that I'm working with that are actually doing two systems, one for their crime scene and then one for evidence, and then it seamlessly integrates. So you know when the crime scene unit transfers that piece of evidence to the evidence unit for permanent storage or whatever, the chain of custody is retained. So we can definitely do that for you guys too. If you need to maintain any of your evidence. Actually, let me show you real quick while I'm thinking of it. Oh, wait, wrong profile.
We have several that we could use as temporary locations.
Do you guys have any kind of like templates or something for when you're documenting a crime scene?
No, not really. We have a 3D digital scanner. So we don't do a sketch.
Okay, gotcha. So this is just an example of what a crime scene profile may look like. Of course, you're documenting still your physical evidence, but you also want to document more of the victim information. And then you can then produce something like this that can either replace your supplement or add to it. So you would give this either straight to the DA or something, or sorry, I can't talk. The investigator of the case, where you would just go ahead and document all of the findings that you find on scene. This helped me a lot because, you know, you get back from a 19-hour crime scene and then you're like, all right, now I've got to look through all my chicken scratch, all of the notes that I took on my dirty gloves or whatever you did. But if you just put it all into the system at the scene, then you have less of a to-do list by the time you get back to headquarters. So just an idea. We can also add some of these fields for crime scene to your profile, and then based on your permissions, they can be hidden or edit only to other groups if you need to. Are you guys in a high crime area? I'm not as familiar. Okay. Like a lot of violent crime?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm
Just
by Atlanta, so I don't know how to compare.
You're just looking at like the top
Number 2
top
in the
10
nation.
dangerous cities in America.
We're number 6 right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man. And you have 3 crime scene techs.
Yeah, I know.
All right. All right.
They're all very good.
Well, good.
We're not able to spread thin.
Do you guys do your like a lot of in-house forensic processing, like APHIS and stuff like that, or does everything go to the lab?
No, we do a lot of in-house.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So yeah, like I said it again.
I was just making a comment back from the photo.
He said because he's so good.
Oh. Gotcha. So yeah, I mean, one of the greatest benefits of the system, besides obviously it just, being very easy to use, is just the flexibility of what you can have your screen look like and what you can track. So if you do have people in different divisions needing to track other things that others may not, you can put it on the screen and make it be used department wide. So it's completely up to you guys how you want that to look. You can also build work lists. So if you're working on like a court order or things like that, you can build add things to a work list to come back to later. Trying to think of anything else. We went through labels. The request monitor is you can start looking at all the requests that you have. Oh, that's what I was going to show you. The WebView application. So we logged in already as Officer Giles, but if we log in as me, again, I'm under a different group and permissions, I'm going to see different widgets. So I have a widget of pending disposal, what's my intake, and then my last 10 cases. So I haven't entered any cases in a while. And then down here, I'm going to see all of my requests. So these are all requests from either investigators or officers asking for different things on different pieces of evidence. So looks like there's data extractions, out to investigator, lab analysis, things like that. So it's good to just keep it all within one system and not have to look through all of these emails.
So
Yeah.
if like a narcotics wanted me to send something to the lab and evidence, I can just go ahead and make a request and it pop up on my,
Yep.
on my, when I log in.
Yep. I think San Francisco has like a TV monitor just dedicated to all the requests that they have coming in. So yeah, there you can utilize that feature however you want.
So I'll be able to pull up like Harrison and see how many guns he took all, he's tagged in evidence over the last month, or how much drugs he's taken off, put in evidence over the last time period.
Yep. You can do that. You can make a custom query. You can also make a query off of, a report based on zone. So do you guys have like zones in your city that you keep track of the crime rate? Okay. I think we did one for Florida. Let me see. Reports. Evidence by zone. Yeah. So yeah, we can make a map of your area, and then you can see like crime by zone, or how many. I think this is stolen guns, so like how many stolen guns in each zone, things like that. So if you've got like a crime analyst, you can help predict things and figure out where you need more manpower, etc. So it's very, very useful for that. Yep. And then, like you were saying, if you want to see all of the firearms related to a certain type of incident, firearm. Oh, surprisingly, no firearms related to homicides. Okay. Well, I only have 34 firearms in my evidence unit right now, but yeah, you can pull up any kind of query that you need to. So firearms based on type of crime, or how many firearms in between January 2023 and June 2023. You can pull up all of those, things like that.
So you can pull up like firearms, used like in a homicide, firearms that were used in an armed robbery.
Yep. Yep. And again, you can build as many custom queries as you want. And these custom queries are going to be, unless you say you push it out where everybody can view them, you can make them just for you, so you can use them if they, just apply to your job. So, yep. Yep. And like I said,
can you make what he was talking about when you say given permissions, like you can let some people see it but not change it?
Yes.
Particular, how many firearms, how much narcotics, how much whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
we're real big apparently here lately. They're real big on how many firearm guns were seized. Like they wanted, like they had to go in there And the way we do it now, I almost have to go in there and manually count. Because how many guns did we bring in, in the summer months, 3-month period or whatever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our system doesn't do that.
So like, right now, like, not now, but, on this program right here, the chief will be able to pull up any kind of statistic that he wants. And
Yes.
print it out.
Yep. So if you can have like a user group just for the chief that he can pull up certain information that others can't. So if we pick on evidence unit, you can look at all these granular operations, what they can do, what records they can access, and then the fields. So you can have like the records division just be able to view information and not edit. Same with the reports. Not everybody has to see the reports that you can see, documents access, and then notes access, location. Obviously, only people that are responsible for property and evidence should see where property and evidence is stored, and then widget access. So yeah, that's why I couldn't see last 10.
That would be a huge selling point to our chief that is able to pull that up.
Yes.
They're real stat based. They like to be able to look at stats.
Okay, cool. And then where is it? So firearms. So yeah, for firearms, so if you wanted to build that query you were talking about, like how many firearms, let me see, item type. In the list of, we want to just look for firearms. We want to add criteria. They were involved in a incident type. You can choose what type of incidents you want to view that firearm. So if you want to just, terrorism, I don't know if I even have that on the list. No, I don't. But you can choose what you want to add criteria, and then you can choose the dates. So create a date. We want greater than between. What is today? The 18th. And criteria. So it's now searching, and you can save this query, all the firearms that are that were collected from the beginning of this year to today that were involved in aggravated assault and the and whatever other crime I put in there. So yep, you can build all those custom queries. So if the chief, like you were talking about, if the chief wants to see something all related to terrorism or all related to a certain date, you can build those and search them very easily on the screen.
That was a good selling point to our chief.
And one of the last thing I want to mention is that we are not like your RMS company. So I'm out of Atlanta, Georgia. Like I said, you can always, there's never a time, a week that went by when I was working at my old agency that I did not call EvidenceOnQ for help. Just because I was learning, I did all the training by myself and then had to relay all of the training to all of the officers. So there's a lot of information that I didn't get to really look at and didn't get to dive into. So you're always going to talk to a person. Our customer service rate is like a 98%. So you're not going to be waiting days for an answer ever. We're here all the time to help you.
We're going on weeks right now.
Yeah. I sent out
You're what?
about weeks ago. I still haven't got an answer.
So whenever y'all obviously, or did you use a different report writing system and then use this evidence module as just evidence when you were at the department you were at?
Correct. Yeah, we decided to keep them separate, but we can integrate with your RMS system. So it's whatever you prefer. You can use it as a standalone system, or you can integrate.
Yeah, I guess what I was getting at is, if the officers have to fill out a property page on ADSI and then turn around and fill out a property page on your product, it's just taking up time. But if it'll integrate, then that would be good.
Yep, you can definitely integrate. I think I have a fake integration screen. Hold on, let me see if I can show it to you of what it'll look like.
Just from today,
So you'd have to,
and you all else would have to do that.
it might take 5 years.
She said it took-
So did y'all's?
Mhm.
And look, this may sound like a stupid question, because I don't know how to ask this question, but, so they're real big on the libers and nighters stuff, I guess, for federal reporting. Does your system, y'all work with that, or?
They're big on what now?
Shut up. Libers and nibers, the federal reporting system.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep.
Does y'all kind of sync with all that, or?
Oh, yes, 100%. Yep. And that's why a lot of people choose to integrate with the RMS system, just because your RMS system is, compliant and does the reporting that our system doesn't.
So if we chose to integrate it, the officers, if they put their information into the report and then put the evidence into EvidenceOnQ, and then it would integrate the property back into our ADSI system.
Yes, so we could set it up that way. I'm trying to think.
Because basically, I wouldn't want them to I wouldn't want ADSI to integrate to your system because there's so much jacked up stuff in ADSI.
You don't want to put it into. I gotcha.
I don't want it to corrupt the search queries of yours.
Gotcha.
Different
Yes, there's a lot of Florida agencies that are doing it that way. That have it's a one-way integration, so it gets the information pushed from RMS into EvidenceOnQ, but nothing from. How do I say this? Excuse me. The data entry starts in EvidenceOnQ, and that gets pushed to the RMS. So nothing from the RMS is coming into EvidenceOnQ. Yeah. If you do an integration, so let's say the officer enters in the case information and person involved information in your RMS first, they come to EvidenceOnQ, log in, click new evidence. They'll be prompted to enter a case number with an integration. This is one of the many options you can integrate. Once they enter in a case number, they'll be asked to validate, information on who was involved. So Thomas is involved, and then that information automatically populates. And then they just have to enter in the property and evidence information. So that's one way we can do an integration. So it's all validated.
So it doesn't bring that to the property owner. They can just integrate the vendor name.
Correct. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I'd be more inclined to do that.
And that would be easier than going out to 6 months.
Yeah. I will check too. Do you know if what company owns ADSI? I'm not as familiar with them. Or is that the main company? It is the name of the company? Okay. I'll check with our integration team to see if they've worked with them before. You will need to contact them we'll integrate with anybody that integrates with us, but you'll have to check with them to make sure that they will integrate with us and what they're going to charge you for it. So yeah, I'd recommend doing that. And then if you did want a data import, they will probably charge you for that as well. So that's something else to ask them about.
Well, I'm hoping to get away from them here.
Yeah.
Do y'all have a report writing system?
We don't, and it's like the 5th time I've been asked in the last 2 weeks. We don't. No, I can send you some companies that we've found that are easier to work with, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they would meet your needs. So, yeah.
And obviously, I don't have nothing to do with the computers or any of that stuff. I just do it. Not like I can make stuff happen on that anyway.
Gotcha.
Now, is this something that you're going to just do separate?
It would be a standalone home. The evidence would be the software would be a standalone system.
So that means every piece of evidence you get, you got to get them into.
What, so you were talking about if you buy the program
Mhm.
earlier, what is the cost based? Is the cost based on size, or is it pretty much a flat rate for everybody to?
Nope.
how is that?
We do the cost based on number of sworn, and then we also do it based on your budgetary needs. So, just because you may be the same size as my other agency doesn't mean that you have the same budgets. So we really do work with you. We never want to lose a customer or a potential customer because of cost. Our CEO is like really, really gracious about that. And then it'll depend on how much hardware you want to get from us, and then if there's any additional modules. So if you want, like we were talking about with triggers, where when the retention is met, it sends you an email. If you want any other type of like specialized triggers, that adds to your cost. Integration adds to your cost, as well as data import.
How big is your storage?
Say it again.
How many terabytes or whatever is the storage?
Oh, it's on your server. It's on-prem. But we can add it to an existing server as long as there's space. What I'll do is I'll send these system requirements to you. I don't know if you would already have this, but I'll send it to you just so you have that information.
Okay. What would you need from us, or what would you need from me? I guess for
To do a quote, I would need to know the hardware that you want to get from us. So if you do have Zebra printers already, maybe you want to use those. If you do decide to use those, we won't cover them. So obviously, if that one breaks, we won't send you a new one for free. But so I need to know about hardware, and then I need to know if you do want to integrate, and if you do want the data import. Other than that, I don't. And then, and the types of reports that you want. So if there's anything outside the scope of, your property report, your checkout receipt, your chain of custody, things like that.
destroy. I don't know what you have. Is there anyone? Do you have something that's like a PDF that says that's a list of what reports y'all have?
Yep, I can definitely send that. I'll send
I don't know what you're capable of, or what your reports are.
anything. Yeah, no, I'll send you a list of some popular ones, and so hardware recommendations. There's one full-time evidence tech, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you would probably only need hardware for like one printer, one Bluetooth scanner, one signature pad in the evidence unit. Do you have a lobby area or a secondary location where you check out evidence to the public?
I mean, it's just in the main lobby. We just bring it out there. It's not outside.
Main lobby? Okay. So you can either is there a computer out there, or is it
No.
okay?
No, but I mean, we can bring them inside. We'd have to set something up different.
Okay, because you can either do you can set up a signature pad and scanner out on a computer, or you can have one of those one PDA devices and just sign it out there that way. And then you'll have an officer packaging area for one more printer. So
Yeah, we would need almost the same setup in crime scene.
okay.
What kind of barcode is it? Like 2D, 3D?
It's a I can send you the model, but it's a symbol LI something LI 4278. So it's a Bluetooth scanner. But we also have some attached scanners too. I can send you those options.
We just bought some file scanners and file printers, label printers.
Okay.
So I don't know if maybe that could.
They might, yeah, send me the model number and I'll see if it's compatible.
Okay. We'll
Yeah.
do that.
What was the name of the scanner she had? Zebra scanner and a zebra printer?
Oh, scanner, I don't know.
The Bluetooth scanner that you have, what's the name, Brandon?
It's a Symbol LI 4278.
No, we had,
You act like you do.
no, we have a Gusu, a Nesu, something like that.
I'm pulling up our hardware sheet so you can see it. I think I've got a list somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, I'll get with you by email. I'll send you what we got.
Okay. And yeah, I'm happy to do. Okay. And I'm happy to do a comparison price too.
You said your subscription is like 19,000 per year?
No, I didn't give you a number.
Oh, I thought you did. I heard 19,000. I thought you said a subscription. Is that what about?
No, subscription. I can't anticipate. I wouldn't imagine it would be that much per year. We do small implementation fee to cover your hardware and any on-site training if you want that initially. But and then you can either pay monthly or yearly subscription cost.
That's a yearly subscription, correct?
Yep, you can pay yearly or monthly.
And that's a cheaper route?
It's definitely it's not expensive up front. How do I say it? Yeah, but I can give you a comparison price of both purchase versus subscription so you can see the differences. The subscription definitely covers a lot more covers modules that the purchase doesn't. And then typically any type of upgrades is $4,500 if you go with a purchase price per application. So you do $4,500 for the desktop and then $4,500 for the web view. So it can get expensive when we're upgrading every year or so. Yeah, but you don't have to upgrade. We still support whatever version you're on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and then I may want to get with you and maybe try to look at that digital.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I can send you some information on that too. So what I'll do is after this call, I'll send you a bunch of information and things for you guys to review and look over for what to include in your quote. And we'll go from there. And I can get that pricing together and send it over by tomorrow.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys. And let me know if you have any questions.
All right, Jen, I think we're good for now. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Take care.